Okay, so crankshaft was done the other evening, so now we're on our dry build, fitting the crank into the crankcases and see how it goes. There's no friction, no drag, everything goes together nicely. Then split the cases again and a little bit of anaerobic jointing compound on the mating faces, and let's see how we go. So crank in first on the non-drive side. So I've just got it started and I'll just need to pull it in. So I have a few bits and pieces, bits of spacers, hopefully the nuts here for the, yeah. So I'm just going to draw the crank in on this side. So instead of fitting the worm drive for the oil pump and the bottom timing gear, say taking them on and off or whatever, if it has to be resplit, I just use a bit of tubing, just a bit of, I think it's an old jack handle or something I've just cut up. So that should just draw in nicely. So we've got our, I think it's ½ inch width in it, ½ inch width wall. Coming in nice and square. Already run out of travel. Not a great deal of thread on there, so if you've still got the right spacer, that's the one. Spacer on, should take it all the way now. It's going. And we're in. Okay. Let's rock it over. So all the faces have already been pre-cleaned. All the oil galleries have been blown out. So we should, and this should just drop on, because obviously this is the outer case of the roller bearing is already there in the casing, and the inner is on the crankshaft. So we're all the way down, so we should have casing. So there's 3 bolts. I think there's 4 nuts. Yeah. So with the nuts, there's some slim height ones and some thicker ones. The slim height ones go on the inside, just behind the clutch housing. Thicker ones, thicker nuts, go under the barrel side, which are outside the casing. The other one, obviously, is the frame bolt, which I'll be leaving that blank, nothing going in there. So I've cleaned all the threads out, scraped all the red Hylamar off everything, which is always lathered and caked on these old bikes. So I've got maybe 1/4 width and 3/16 width for the bolts. So I'm just going to nip them. For our bolts. They're just over hand tight, crank spins nicely, no tight spots anywhere, so I'm just going to nip them a bit more. Okay, so those faces are now still nice and free, no tight spots anywhere. No. So, another bit of tubing. So I'm just going to pull all this will be doing is pushing this inner race hard up into the crank. 9/16 width for this one. Bit of alley bar. Okay, I'll sit it up and see what it hopefully. Feels nice. I'm just going to nip these. I'm just going to pull the crank into this bearing fully, and then this one, just give this another nip, and it'll just make sure that in a race on this roller bearing is pushed against the crank. So there's a bit of a, unfortunately you can't do this on the C15s. I'm not sure on the, maybe on the later, the very last of the C15s, the C15Gs, and I think they were the ones he sent out to the police. Fleet, maybe the Fleet Star, maybe the Barracuda, but definitely on the Starfires, you've got this plug in the left-hand crankcase, and this plug, I think it's 1/2 inch UNC, or it might be Whitworth, I'm not sure. I made this some time ago, and this is just a bit of silver steel rod, and there's a 6.5mm hole drilled in the crankcase flywheel at the timing. So that goes in the flywheel, and you can just lock the flywheel up lightly. It's going to be 3/4. It's got to be UNC, this, because it's the head size is 3/4. So it's just a cut down bolt with a hole drilled in it, and then just a bit of silver steel, or maybe a bit of hard stuff, a bit of stainless steel rod you could use. So that's the plug going in. And that now will be locked at the appropriate, whatever it is it 34 degrees before top dead centre? I'll have to look. Now we can just give these another squeeze. So everything's pulled in now, and I just have to unlock my crankshaft. Beauty. Very happy with that. Happy. Feels nice. So I'm going to split the crankcase halves. I'm just wondering, could probably probably leave that on. Does it make any difference? Doesn't make any odds, does it? I'll leave it there, it should split. Because we just want to, the heaters, the noise, it's got a bit quieter. My super Chinese Ebus Basher diesel heaters just come up to temperature. So what am I running? 19 degrees, nice and warm. So now we're going to split our casings. Only on an old British bike would you find Whitworth, BSF, BSC, UNC, UNF, MPT, and obviously gas threads on things like the fuel tank tap threads and the like. But very interesting to work on. Nice to see how we've come through the transition into metrication, etc. Sometimes it's not always a positive move, but it's nice to have uniformity and everything divided by 10, so you don't need a calculator and things like that. Whereas with the imperial system, you know, we've even got not only 12s, you know, we've even got 13s like a baker's dozen. There we go. So those washers have stayed there. Let's just dig them out. So very happy with that. So I'm now all looking good. Going to put my anaerobic gasket jointing compound very lightly on these faces. You never ever get rid of the final soaked in red of the hematite. So they have been checked. The burrs have been filed off. These casings have had a bit of a hard life. Bit of hammer ash here and there, but generally speaking, all the threads were good, etc. So yeah. So this is I use these other obviously different makes, but I use Permatex. Seems to work well for me. And only a little bit, because obviously we want the casings not to be held apart by anything, so it's just a gesture. can't help but sing the praises of this Eberspascher copy diesel heater I've got. I was running fan heaters, or I used to have a couple of fan heaters in here, but obviously 3 kilowatt fan heaters running. It's now very expensive, so I've just been given 20 litres of red diesel. My mate has just taken the fuel tank out of his boat and to renew it, so it was a bit mucky, so he's very kindly thrown me 20 litres in my direction. Okay, we're going on. And we're down. So I'm going to just do something slightly, got to get the nut heights correct. I'm just going to be doing something slightly different because there's only one dowel. I know you've got the inset ridge around the periphery of this side crankcase that's supposed to slot into the other, but I'm just going to lightly fasten on the barrel just to pull the barrel faces square. It's just a nice touch just to make sure that they are absolutely, everything's flat and square. Well, till I get them all in. So just barely nipped. So now I'm just going to drop. It does feel quite good actually. I can't feel any ridge on there. Maybe a little bit at the front here between the two faces, but I'm just going to drop the barrel on. I'm not going to pull it down massively, and I generally find that I did have some bits of conduit cut. Damned if I could find them. Couldn't even find the head bolts, the head nuts, sorry, so they'll be knocking around somewhere. Well, the head nuts are just 3/8 UNF, which I've got a bucket full, so. Obviously I'll be 9/16 AF. So I'm just giving him just a squeeze just to pull those faces flat into the top of the barrel. And they're just 1/2" drive sockets. So I'm happy with that now. Back on his sail. Let's make sure we're still spinning over quite nicely. Yeah. Yeah. And now we're going to go for a final squeeze on these. So I'm going to say click, 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 because we're only pulling into aluminium. Click, 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 click. I did a tiger cub middle of last year, I think it was, and the engine had been remanufactured by somebody. It's a lovely engine, by the way, square barrel, square fin barrel, square fin head, etc. Full roller crank, but the casing bolts had been tightened up so tight the bolts were like a wine glass. So there was a couple of other things we found inside, like they'd used silicone, which you shouldn't, putting the two crankcase halves together, and it had squeezed out inside, so we had to clean the casings out. So it was a good, we pulled it down for another reason, but it was a good job that we did open it up. Okay, so happy with all of that. Let's get this side built up. So I need this off now, don't I? So I could put my little tool back in. It shouldn't be that tight. And we're in. Beauty. So I'm just gonna, because I can, put another squirt of oil. Spacer, worm drive, just have to let it, it's almost gone. Give it a tap, I was going to say. She's gone. Good stuff. Key. Just going to tap that in with a copper face. have deburred them all. Beauty. And I can't remember whether you can get the oil pump in with the gear on. I don't think you can. So the pump I've already stripped, cleaned. I've actually lapped the faces a little bit as well. Does spin quite nicely. So that's ready to go back on. I have blown out all the galleries, so just got to get this the right way round. Yep. So these have got stiff nuts on them. So again, bit of torque wrench action, click, click, yep. These are quite tight, so I'm just going to drift it in. So I've got a bit of copper bar. Yep. Tab. So I'm not going to squeeze that one right up just yet. Just want to build up the other side first. And these generally, I have a little puller for these to get them off, and you generally do have to drift them on. They are quite a good fit. Tone change, so we must have bottomed out. Got a key. And yeah, this engine had a few issues, and the rotor was one of them. It actually started to shake apart, so I've drilled half and half into the centre, steel centre, and the aluminium housing on both sides, and just put I think they were, I don't know, small BA grub screws in there, so it's all locked up nice and tight. I was going to get another one, but you know, I think it's going to manage okay, and I won't be doing the Paris-Dakar on the bike when it's done, so should be okay. Now this, prior to or against the rules or whatever, I generally, on this side of the engine, I just Loctite these on. Just make sure there's no oil on the threads. Okay. I had to file all these things up. Looks like whoever had the bike apart before unscrewed them with a hammer and chisel. Bloody big lumps knocked out of them, but the threads were good, which was the main thing. Okay, so all that's left now is to torque these two up, and I think we're 60 foot-pounds. Just quickly check. Yeah, 40 and 60. So 40 for the timing gear end and 60 for the rotor. So I need my special tool for the close-up work. Foot-pounds. Go for 60. Quarter drive, I'm already on there, ½ inch. Need an adapter. Quarter up to. 16. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to help by putting this on this side. So I've got weight on that. I've got my locking dowel in there. So now I can put a few horsepowers on this. There's your 60. That's not going to fall off. And now we need to come back to the other side. And this one 30. And I'm just going to do the same again, just so I'm not loading up my little locking tool. So we're on it there. One. Yeah. And we're there. So there's a little, and yeah. Happy. Well, that's nice. And even the weight of the con rod, it's falling back under its own weight, which is good. I'm happy with that. So we'll just pull the barrel off and we'll just check that the face is still nice and flat together where the join is. Have to find those head bolts, head nuts wherever I put them. Oh, nice. Beauty. Yeah. Happy. So yeah, that's the crankcase halves. Don't forget to fold the lock tab over. Crankcase halves. Timing gear, oil pump, and rotor. So just the lock tab, and it's stopped in a lovely spot as well, just right for bending over. So red hematite stuff. So she's ready. The next job will be the piston, barrel, cylinder head. But it's time now, coffee time for me, and I've got a couple of jobs on. So tomorrow evening, barrel, piston rings, cylinder head. Thanks for watching, guys.